hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to YACC, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I talk about it. This week's game is Star Wars and was published and developed by Tecmo in 1987, and it's a vertical space shooter, but I'll call it what it is. It's a bullet hell without mercy. And anyway, there will be spoilers up ahead, just so you know, but first a little backstory. I used to have this game as a kid, and I think I only beat the first boss a couple of times. I never got really far into it. It's like, as a kid, you don't have like a real attention span for things. But yeah, this is one of the games I had growing up. So this game starts you out at a platform. You are this little white ship, and for some reason you have decided to take on all the bad guys by yourself. And as I said, this is a vertical space shooter, so you start to traverse the space. And I mean, it's simple graphics like black backgrounds and white dots representing star and enemies that attack you. And the enemies somehow reminded me of like cereals, you know, the ones you get with milk, or some kind of donut sweets. I don't know why, because they're kind of brown, orangey kind of, but I don't know, that's where my mind went. So this game is super hard, and prepare to die a lot. Because that's the name of this game. It's a bullet hell in my opinion, and it will always be. And as a kid, as I said before, I never managed to get real far, but during the playthrough of this week, I have the fortunate advantage of save states, which I abused to God's content, just because making it through the first level almost. It's kind of one of those scenarios or things that I'm not proud of admitting, but this game, man. So you defeat a lot of enemies, and they have some cool structures, like you fly over structures, more like land masses. You have like a green little forest border to them. You have some structures on them, and if you shoot down these building or structures, some letters will be revealed, like big B's and small B's. And I couldn't figure out if these were power-ups in the beginning, but apparently at the end of each stage, when you defeat a boss, they count in towards the top score. So this game has a score meter, and I think when you reach a certain score, you get like a 1-up. I might be wrong about this, but that's it. So you traverse the level and you beat all the enemies, and you will eventually run into a boss. And this boss is like a square with a letter A on it. So a text will pop up on screen like attack alpha target, and this square thing with an A on it appears. And you have two turrets on the side, but just avoid the fire of them, and you just, shoot down the boss. It doesn't make any sense because it doesn't really fire back. You just pump it full of like shots, and it dies, and you get a clearing score, and you get the bonuses and whatnot. And then you move on to the second stage, and there are a couple of new enemies introduced. Like there's like a square type enemy that spins, and if you hit it, it will reveal or shoot a spread shot, and it's harder to avoid. So it's not always recommended to just go full blazing with the by the way, A and B fires the guns of the ship. It's not always a good thing to fire all the time, because some enemies, when you hit them, they explode into smaller shrapnels that will damage you beyond. So yeah, but usually the tactic is just mash the shoot button anyway, and waves of enemies come at you. And why would you go along like by yourself to defeat a badass empire? I have no idea. This guy was like, well, you know that guy from Star Wars, Dak from Empire Strikes Back, when he talks to Luke and he says like, how I feel like I want to take on the whole empire myself or something. It's like, well, you probably shouldn't, because you die, right? So the boss of this level is cleverly named B. So the same thing happens. You reach the end of the stage, and the text will pop up on screen saying attack beta. So it's not a real spoiler, but you go through the whole Greek alphabet, even to the end. So the last boss is called like Omega, but there's like a secret boss, or not a secret boss, but the last boss is called Infinity, and it's just the same thing with every boss. It just has like an I in it for infinity, and then yeah, that's about it. This game introduced some new enemies and some new difficult enemies. The hard thing is actually just to stay alive, and it's a real struggle, and it's not it's not too hard, or it's not too easy to talk about this game, because all you do is shoot and try to make it to the end. And I think this game was also ported from like arcade to the NES, so I can understand how some things don't translate well, but the game ramps up really hard, and it's like at the end of it I was abusing the save states, so it wasn't even fun. I got a little further than I saved, and it wasn't fun. And when a game stops being fun and just tedious, that's a good time to put down the controller. So gameplay, traverse the levels or stages, beat the boss at the end, and try survival to the end, I guess. Control, A and B fires the guns on your ship, and the D-pad moves the ship around. And the ship is, the only complaint I have about the control is that the ship is a bit slow. That's the only thing I can complain about. And the pause button actually pauses the game. Graphics, the graphics are kind of simple, really charming. 8-bit space graphics, black backgrounds like with white dots representing the stars. And I mean, it is what it is. It's like a space shooter. Sound and music. Tasuka Masuku made the music of this game. This game is really boring. It has 4 tracks. I think you have like the main theme, and you have the boss themes, and there's like a mini boss theme. I don't think it's used in the game. Maybe it's like a leftover assets, and you have like the game over screen, which I've heard a lot this week. Easter eggs, secret and glitches. I couldn't find any, but I think there's like some secret pyramids that you can find. I think it's in the Famicom version of this. I'm not quite sure, but I couldn't find any secrets on my own. So, yeah. In conclusion, no. This is a game that I had nostalgia for and I thought was good, but isn't really that good. It has some good things to it. I forgot to talk about it in the games section, but there's like an upgrade you can get to your ship that you don't have to tap the fire button. You can just hold it in A or B, and it just spread the bullets all over the screen. That's great, but as soon as you die, you lose this ability and become like this puny little shooter, like pew pew pew. Like you have to tap the button, and after doing this for an hour, it starts to wear on your thumb. So if you could keep the upgrade and not losing it, that would be great. But on the positive side, having save state is a good thing, because this game, even though if you get killed on a boss or something, you get set back to a little earlier like platform, but it's not, you don't have that many extra lives. You have like 4 or 5 when you start, and they start to dwindle really fast. Abusing save states just to make a little further in the game, it's not fun. I don't think I even seen like a full playthrough of this, but I believe there's someone who has actually beaten this game. But why would you? Like, is it a bragging right? I don't know. On the negative side, this game is super hard and frustrating. So it's a bullet hell vertical space shooter thingy, but I don't know. I'm never fond of like bullet hells anyway, and I know there are much more harder games in this genre. And a funny thing, I was actually watching a buddy of mine streaming a Game Boy stream, and I forgot what game he was playing, but it was on Game Boy obviously, and it looked so much better than this game did. And I don't know how even that is possible, but I talked to him in chat, and he said like, well, it's a good looking game, and he ended up beating it on stream, and he has like this grading Google document where he put in score what he thinks about game, and it was actually a 10 out of 10. And then I mentioned the game Star Force, and he was like, no, don't play that game. And I was like, oh fuck, I already done it, just laughing at the whole situation. But yeah, so I don't know, play something else. Now I warned you, okay? So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.